Hi guys, welcome back. So just in case you wanted to compare your selections to mine, this is what I came up with. I went for the whole of take 3 for verse 1, and then a couple of different selections for chorus 1, ranging from take 2 and take 1. And then for verse 2 and chorus 2, I've gone for take 1. So it really doesn't matter what you chose. It was just out of interest, really. So I'm just going to delete this track and bring in the comped version so the other guys can follow along. You don't need to do that. If you've done all your comping and you've bounced your track out as I showed you to do, then you don't need to do this bit. So I'm going to bring in Vox comped main take. Bring it into bar 5. And we'll just make sure this is in the right place.
Well, it's clear, I don't know.
Yep, it's in the right place. So in this lesson, we're going to have a look at vocal pitch correction and why we might want to use that. It's really handy if your singer is just slightly flat or slightly sharp in her singing. It's not for major changes. Well, you can use it for major changes if you're looking for a particular type of effect, but really you're looking at just putting the polish on the vocal performance. If you've got a singer that's way off key, or yourself, for example, like if I was to record myself, it's just no hope. It's pointless. You've got to get a proper singer in to do a proper job. Have you ever heard the expression, you can't polish a turd? Well, perhaps that's an English saying, but it means you cannot make something that's really crap really good. It's just not going to work. But fortunately, Logic has an inbuilt pitch correction facility, and it's really, really good. You can also do timing correction with it as well, so it's really, really amazing value for money considering it comes with Logic. There is a slightly better option out there if you are willing to pay a few £100 for it. It's called Melodyne, and it's got slightly better algorithms and slightly better functions, but really the Logic one is going to do you really, really well in most cases and be plenty good enough. So the Logic one is called Flex Pitch, and we need to just double click the audio in question. And while we're here, we'll just solo the vocals. So we need to come over here to this cool looking symbol called Show Hide Flex, or Apple F, as you can see. Do you want to turn it on? Well, yes, please. I'm just going to analyze the audio and put it into blocks. And if you get absolutely nothing, then you just need to move on to the bit with the vocals. And also zoom out a little bit, just making sure you've got the lower window highlighted before you zoom out. So here's our audio, but it's not in the right mode yet. We need to change it from flex time slicing to flex pitch. And it's now analysed the audio, but you still can't see any blocks representing the pitches. And it's quite easy to get caught out by this. That's because we're up on octave C7 and C8. It doesn't actually show you where the blocks are. You have to go down and find them. So scroll down. And you want to come down to the octave in question, which in this case is in the 3rd octave. So let's do some zooming, and I'll explain what all these blocks mean. We'll just have a look at this sort of one phrase here. So Logic has analysed the audio, and it has applied what it thinks is the pitch of each word or phrase. And it's cut them up into these little words or phrases, as you can see. And don't worry if you think it's got it wrong, you can always glue them back together again or cut them in different places, so don't worry about that. But basically looking at the keys on the left hand side, so C, C sharp, D, D sharp, etc., it thinks that this particular phrase here, for example, is an E note, or I should say the average of that note is an E note. The actual line, let me just explain the blocks and the lines. The block is the average of this entire word. Let's just play the word.
Well, it's clear.
So clear, she obviously says that in quite a long, elongated fashion, and it goes up and down in pitch. So that's what this line is. The line is the true representation of the pitch. So it's going up and down, up and down. And the block is the average. And you, like I say, you can cut this block into more pieces if you wish.
Well, it's clear.
And we can straighten this pitch out and do all sorts of things, which we'll be coming on to. So just to recap, all the blocks are the average of the notes, but the line is the one you really want to be looking at because that follows the exact pitch. Just going to zoom in a bit more vertically. And the more the line is in the middle of the note, the more accurate the pitch is to that note. So we're really looking to get the line as best we can in the middle of the note. So when you hover over a block like this, you've got 6 different nodes or nodules, and they all do different things. So let me talk through those. Let's go with the top middle one for starters. We can change the pitch of this particular phrase up or down by clicking and dragging. The bottom one increases or decreases the vibrato, so you can see the vibrato in her voice, and we can straighten this right out to 0 if you want. If you go to 0, you start getting a kind of robotic sound. And if you do that for all of the notes and the whole performance, you'll start getting like a Cher stroke T-Pain style robotic voice. But if you want to, like the end of the phrase, for example, is a bit too warbly for you, you could cut that in half and just reduce the vibrato. It's really, really cool. So we'll just leave it on 100 for now. So that's the top middle and the bottom middle. Left is pitch drift. So we're just adjusting the left side of the pitch only. So we can adjust it up. So we can go up to a note. If this note was up here, we could just drift that note up or down. So it's just a bit more in tune. And we can do the same with the right hand side. We can just adjust the left or the right side of the pitch as opposed to the whole thing. So 2 more to go. The bottom left one is the gain. So if you want to increase this word or phrase in gain, you can see the audio moving in the background, or you can reduce the gain. So that's really, really handy. And the right hand one is formant shift, which changes the kind of texture or the timbre of the phrase. And this is more for getting creative rather than corrective.
Well, it's clear. It's clear.
Just starting to do something there.
It's clear.
So you can hear it quite when I put it up to 366, just to show you an example.
It's clear.
So what can be quite handy is if, let's say, you had this note on this and this note, this word with this much formant shift and this with this and this with a bit more. That can be quite handy sometimes. It can give you a kind of nice modern pop vocal feel. Of course, you may not want that.
Oh, where I'm going.
Just going to undo all that. So we're getting into the creative side of things with the formant shift. So on the left here, we have some more controls. Now, you may be tempted, and you'll be forgiven for thinking this, but to highlight the whole lot, let's say you highlight every single bit of audio, and then just quickly go to Scale, Quantize, put in your scale that you're in, and press, you can see they're already moving, and press Quantize. So it's put them all to B minor. But it's best to do this manually because it doesn't always get it right. If you do it the lazy way by selecting all,
well, it's clear.
You can hear that that one is already out.
Well, it's clear. I don't know where I'm.
So it's best to do this manually. Try not to cheat. You may also be tempted to cheat with the timing quantize as well. So you may want to put everything to a 16th note, put the strength up and press. You saw them just move there. Press quantize, so it's done the timing.
Well, it's clear I don't know where I'm going.
Again, that sounded okay. This one was a little bit out. Again, it's best to do it manually. So I'm just going to undo those things. So to show you how to do the timing, you would just simply move the end of the bar or the block. It's really, really, really handy and quick. So it extends this phrase here and reduces this phrase here, shortens, I should say, and you can just change the timing. It's just so good.
I don't know.
So this flex time is a really, really great facility in Logic. So if this phrase is too long for you and you wanted to adjust the second half of it, you could just come to your scissor tool, chop it in half, and there we go. You can adjust this one up here, and adjust this one down, and you're free to do whatever you want independently. One more thing I want to mention here before we start having a look at this and start having a go. You see we've got a blue box here, and then like a clear, smaller box above it. So Logic thinks that this block should be down. So the box is filled completely, basically. So it was there. It thinks, it's suggesting to you that it should be there or thereabouts. Same with this one. It's saying it's too sharp, ever so slightly sharp, but sharp nonetheless.
Well, it's clear.
And this one as well. Again, it's a suggestion. They're not always correct. Most of the time it's correct, but not always.
Well, it's clear.
So you need to go through and listen to all of this in your own tracks as well and apply this process. Just see, that was quite a big movement, that one.
I don't know where.
And it sounds pretty good, actually.
I don't know.
Just be careful what I said about the line being in the middle of the note. So it's either there. So that peak of that pitch bend is now in the middle of this note here, F sharp. Or you have it down here in the middle of this note. Try not to have it anywhere other than the middle.
I don't know. I don't know.
So it sounds better to me on F sharp rather than F. So there's an introduction to flex time. I'm going to go through and start correcting these notes. And you can see they're only ever so slightly out, so it's a brilliant performance by the vocalist. And I'll just reiterate again, if you're having to move them whole notes, then your vocalist is way off and it's just not going to sound great. So we'll go with the suggestions for now. And I can't reiterate this enough, guys. Don't rely on Logic to do all the work for you. I wish it was that simple, but you have to check this manually just in case it gets it wrong. So let's have a listen.
Well, it's clear I don't know where I'm going.
That actually sounds pretty good.
And it's clear.
That sounds a bit flat, that one there. Not just by looking at it, by hearing it.
And it's clear.
So you get the idea. We just need to go in here. Again, it's a time-consuming process, but it's all worth it. If you really want to end up with fantastic vocals, and don't forget the timing option as well, it's really, really worth it. And this will be the difference between really, really amazing vocals and pretty good vocals. And what do you want? Exactly. Okay, cool. So that's it for the introduction to flex time. I'm going to go through and correct this vocal. But again, don't worry, there's always the final version in the work files if you just want to bring that in. In the next lesson, we'll have a look at guitar timing correction. All the best, guys. Bye-bye.